What's good, degenerates? Oh no, another basic bitch Seiko video. You bet your sweet ass it is, and you're gonna sit back and enjoy it. This is the SRPL13. Everyone's calling it the Mini Samurai and Shogodai, but they're wrong. This is the Bladerunner. It's different enough to be its own thing, and it deserves its own name. Dudes, this watch fucking slaps, and it's a great watch to wear. Look, I get it. The watch isn't made out of diamonds and flux capacitors, and it isn't cheaper than 20 bucks. If you're not willing to look past the fact that it isn't achieving absolute perfection in every possible category, then there's no point in watching the rest of this video. However, I'm willing to address some of the biggest complaints I've seen online and give my personal take on them. The biggest gripe I've seen so far is the price, and understandably so. MSRP is close to $600 and street price hovers around $460. In no universe is that cheap, especially when you factor in the very basic movement and hardlex crystal. All I can say is that I spent $280 for mine, brand new from an authorized Seiko dealer, and I'm happy with that. I think that's a more reasonable and realistic price for what I'm getting. No, I didn't get a special discount because I have an awesome YouTube channel. I literally just spent 5 minutes searching the internet for better deals. So, to me, the price is not a valid complaint, because finding better deals takes minimal effort, and if you're too lazy to do that, then that's a personal problem. The next biggest complaint is the hardlex crystal. I actually agree with this. We live in a world where sapphire is so readily available, and anyone with any connection to the watch community should reasonably know that sapphire is the preferred material. You've really got to be deliberately ignorant to not know this. At the end of the day, I can deal with it, because if there are retards out there trying to justify the acrylic crystal on an $8,000 Omega Speedmaster, then I think I'll be just fine here. Admittedly, I do hope we see a version with a sapphire crystal. I remain hopeful that aftermarket SKX crystals are compatible with it. The diameter is the same, and I have one on order. When it arrives, I'll make a video trying to install it, and maybe I'll have the very first Bladerunner with a sapphire crystal. The final major complaint I've heard is the basic movement. I'm neutral on this one. You either love the 4R/NH movements or you don't, and I won't judge you if you want something more. Personally, the 4R movement is easy to own. They work plenty good enough for me, and they're exceptionally durable, especially if you're a modder with clumsy fingers. Yeah, it's an old movement, and the watch community is plagued with people that constantly want something new. But sometimes there's no need to fix something that's not broken. It could be said that the 4R movement is one of the most influential movements of the current state of the watch community, and certainly there's a reason for that. I do think at the street price of $400 to $500, it's a ripoff, but under $300, I'm okay with it. Obviously, there's no hard rule on what the acceptable price is, and sometimes you could be so focused on a tree that you miss the forest. But that all just depends on what your priorities are, and if this movement isn't up to par with your standards, then fortunately there's almost too many other options to choose from. Okay, so we got the major complaints out of the way. But, Mr. Degenerate, you still like it? Fuck yeah, I still do. It's a simple steel watch that does watch stuff good, and there's something infinitely enjoyable about that. What it lacks in luxurious refinement, it more than makes up for in utilitarian efficiency. There still remains a subtle elegance that is reminiscent of the OG tool watches from the 80s. Of course, this isn't a Rolex, but there very much is a similarity here to the pre-millennium Submariners, back when they were worn by men for the purpose of doing manly things. Unlike other luxury watches, nothing about this one makes me feel like I have to be careful when it's on the wrist. There's nothing better than wearing a stress-free watch, and that's exactly what this is. It wants to go to work, and I feel comfortable doing anything with it. For me, the biggest selling point is the knurling on the bezel and crown. I'm sure this is the selling point for everyone else too, because it really exemplifies the essence of a precision tool, and it certainly looks sharp. When you pair that with the brushed finishing, it's a lethal combination and looks absolutely killer. The hint of brushed finishing on the hands is a small attention to detail that would otherwise go unnoticed, but when seen in the right light, it ties everything together well. The angular lugs and polygonal indices make this look like a Minecraft Submariner, but it works. It's all futuristic with classic bones, which is why I immediately thought of Bladerunner when I got it. When you take all of those things and top it all off with a slim profile, I'm telling you, there's nothing better. It's not the thinnest watch in the world, but the larger diameter proportionately really accentuates the thin case height. This is the perfect example of where you can't judge a watch size just by the diameter, because even a 36mm watch can look too large if the proportions aren't right. The bracelet has an angular element to it as well that matches the overall theme. It's not overly aggressive, but just enough for you to know that there's something different. Not a lot of people are fans of this clasp, but I gotta tell you, I unironically prefer this over anything else. I find that stamped steel clasps are endearing and stay true to the original essence of what a watch should be. There's been an overemphasis on the need for milled steel clasps, but all that extra fluff can never beat this tried and true formula. It's hard to quantify the special sauce of a watch that, in paper, is arguably quite plain, and it's one of those things that has to be experienced in person to understand. The bottom line is that this watch works, and it does so with a little bit of flair without being flashy. The classic dive watch look, with a touch of Seiko, is a winning combination, and I might get some heat for this, but I'm just gonna say it, it's the Submariner experience that every Submariner owner actually wants. If you own a Submariner, then I highly recommend you buy this and you'll get exactly what I'm talking about. That's all for now. Stay classy. I sure as hell won't.